What's up guys, Jake with East Coast Polishing. Today I'm going to walk you through a simple process to polish out my actual spinning hubcaps. These are going on my SEMA truck. I received them and they're not quite in the polished finish yet. These are fresh out of the lathe, milled finish. So I'm going to take these from this mill finish here and we're going to make them into a beautiful polished surface. So the product I'm going to be using here, starting off, I'm using an orange airway. It actually has the yellow. So this is one of our combo buffs. This is a 16 ply buff. I like 16 ply on something like this because obviously there's a lot of little nooks and crannies to get in here, and a 16 ply is going to work a little bit better than a thick buff. Something thinner really gets in there well. After that, it's kind of a newer buff on the market. It's one of my favorites. This is a cotton buff. It's made of our cotton finish material, but it actually has a single stitch in it. That single stitch really helps with rigidity, helps keep the buff together, makes it a little bit skinnier to get in these areas really nice, and I believe it just leaves that perfect finish that I love. This here I'll be pairing up with the blueberry bar from Renegade, which seems to be a very hot finisher right now. A lot of guys are switching to this from the purple. I think it's awesome to give a try to and see if you like it. And then on top of that, I'll be using the Wild Cherry cutting compound. This is a synthetic compound. It's a very greasy rouge, kind of soft. I like greasy because I can actually really maneuver it for a long time over a product or a piece. Compared to a dryer bar, kind of is really quick. You got to do a lot of adding to it, and it takes a lot to get results. These greasier bars seem to be a little better bang for the buck and easier to work with in my case. On top of that, I really don't feel I need to add in a third step, which would be your coloring process. These do a really fine job of coloring. So you'll see me in the process, I'm gonna be putting some pressure in, really working that metal. And then after that, I lighten up, but I go pretty light with my cut buff. And that seems to work very well for me as kind of a coloring process. Anyways, I'm gonna jump into this. All right guys, so to start off here, you're gonna see me running the synthetic compound. I'm gonna be running it on a buff right around 3,500 RPMs. I say cutting, you can go anywhere from 2,600, 3,500, and you should get a very efficient, clean cut. Now you're going to see me continue the same process on the back side of this. The way I like to attach a center cap is usually I use a jaw horse. These are available online at Harbor Freight. I just put a block of wood in here and I use 2 of the holes with sheetrock screws. It's a very simple way to attach them and use them. Or if you have something like a wheel jig in your shop, very easy to mount one on that and use it. But for the time being, we're using what we got, which would be a piece of wood and some sheetrock screws. Now for a finishing process here, you're going to be seeing me going through with the single stitch. It's a finish buff. It is still an airway. I'm going to be running the blueberry bar on this with a dash of the Q16 sprinkled on this. Q16, it's always wise to give it a little shake, and then I'll just leave a thin coating along this piece here. That's just going to add some lubricity to kind of help me with hash. It also adds that little pop of color, I feel, to make the piece just a little bit brighter. Blueberry, we're going to run this right around 1,800 RPMs on such a little piece because there's a lot of sharp angles. Sometimes you'll hear me saying I'm at 2,200, 2,400 with finishing. Something small like this with a lot of sharp little edges to grab you, I might drop down to 1,600, 1,800, and I kind of feather between the two. At the end of our process here, we like to take a microfiber towel, make sure we have everything clean. That way the Rouge Police that shows don't pick you up. All right, so right now we're gonna take in a DA, a little bit of 800. So these caps, they actually have kind of a mill finish on them, as you see. And that mill finish, we're gonna take that out. A real simple 800 on a DA will easily remove it. And then after that, I'm gonna do the same exact process I did on the cap, using that wild berry to the blue bar, and we're gonna get a great finish on it, put these back together, and we're gonna have a magnificent polished center cap. I know our late and great beautiful mask people are going to love that, but a simple 800 grit outside, if you're not literally huffing it, you're probably fine. I do recommend wearing a mask and a respirator though through the polishing process, especially the sanding process. The actual buffing process, I don't feel there is too much dust. The sanding process is definitely producing lots of dust. So if you're indoors, don't be afraid to look into some safety measures like the 3M full face mask or half face mask. Oops. Now to finish this process off, we're going to use a little bit of Easy Red, a little bit of the blue, and that's going to get us that high luster, perfect finish we're looking for. Turn it down to the old 18 hundo. We're going to do multiple directions here because of the letters. Pop it in. So here's our finished product. Obviously that looks 100 times better than it used to. So we took the caps from this, which was the mill finish straight out of the factory, to this. This is our finished product. And as you can tell, just a way better look for any truck. That polish is phenomenal. We did leave the outside mill into this just because for me in the time being, removing that mill just isn't feasible and it doesn't make any sense. I don't mind it, I like the ribs. The honest face of it, we sanded where you saw me take the 800 grit, hold everything out beautifully. So now we have that perfect shine. And as everyone knows, no money, no shine.